Hey guys, Engineer Wannabe here, and today we're going to be doing a review of the Longines Heritage Classic, also known as the Longines Sector Dial. This is one of their heritage reissues, one that was announced last year and was highly anticipated, and it seems to be trickling throughout now. Quite a few people who seem to have got their hands on it, and yeah, so let's get down to the review. So, starting with the dimensions, we see here the case is 38.5 millimeters, and it measures true to that. The thickness is 11 millimeters, including that domed or boxed sapphire. Lug to lug, top to bottom, is 47 millimeters, and the lug width here is 19, and you can see I'm wearing a 18 millimeter strap on it. It's a water resistant Hirsch strap, and I only have it in 18. It's because it's been really hot these past couple of days, and so I've kind of switched to this strap. Now the watch comes in a leather strap. Let me get that for you guys. Here it is. It looks really good on the surface, but I was a little disappointed with the material quality. I am pretty sure, like I mentioned in the unboxing video here, the leather feels a little foam-like, and you can kind of see it's like the kind of leather you see in cheap shoes. But you may like it's really comfortable to wear though. It has a foamy feeling, and so it's really soft and supple. The underside is the exact same material, I believe, but it is orange on the underside. I'm pretty sure it's the same material. It has the same texture, which is unusual. Usually there's a soft lining that would absorb moisture really quickly. But this is refreshing to have this on the underside. It's just a shame that the upper is not as nice of a quality, but you might not mind it at all. It looks good. It just isn't the nicest for me, and I wore it a couple of times and I took it off this strap. The buckle is pretty interesting. It looks like a stamped buckle. And it might very well be stamped still, just stamped out of thicker steel, but it has that vintage look, and it's very nice, very nostalgic, I suppose. Not that I'm from that era anyway, but the buckle feels like something that is from that era. Really nice tongue here as well. So I'm really impressed with the buckle. So I have been moving this around onto other straps. It also comes with a NATO strap, a fabric on the outside, the same leather on the underside. I haven't been too pleased with that either. It was kind of difficult to wear. It was really thick as well, but again, if you enjoy NATOs, and it would be a nice NATO to wear in colder weather. So let's talk about what makes this watch tick. So the movement is a Longines 8 or L893, and it beats at 25,200 vibrations per hour, or beats per hour. It has a 64-hour power reserve. The movement is based on an ETA 2.894, I believe, with a silicon hairspring. I believe the name of that movement is A31.501, something along those lines. So it's not a popular or a well-known movement, but it's based off the 2.894, 2.892, which means that the winding action is really nice, and it's the movement that Omega used to modify with a coaxial movement to put in their older or previous generation Seamaster, if I'm not mistaken. So really really get great value for the money. I'm amazed that this has a silicone hairspring, that it has that really high caliber movement, and it's very impressive stuff. The case of the watch is almost all brushed. It's got different kinds of brushing. On the side, of course, we have a horizontal brush from left to right or right to left. On the tops of the lugs, you see a radial brushing. So very interesting detail there. Of course, the bezel is radially brushed, and the bezel is very interesting as well. It's very minimal. It almost looks like a bezel-less watch, but there is a bezel. The domed sapphire is really well done, as you can see there. So the finishing is really interesting. There's no real polished surfaces until you come to the case back. The case back here is polished. It's very nicely engraved as well. And finishing is really nice. It would have been nicer to see some form of polishing or mixed polished and brushed areas, but there you get so much for your money already for this watch that, and it is in essence a field watch, I believe. So it does play its part very well. Of course, the crown is polished. I didn't mention that, but the crown is polished. Let's move on to how this wears. Now, if you have a smaller wrist, you are going to notice that this does not wear true to size. It actually wears quite a bit bigger than the dimensions may suggest. I'm not a stranger to watches as large as 50 millimeters lug to lug, but this is really unusual for me to see these lugs hanging as it does right here. So if you have a smaller wrist, I would suggest you try it on. My wrist is 6 1/4 inches, or around 16 centimeters, depending on the time of day. But as you can tell, it wears big, and I would think it wears like a 50 mil lug to lug watch, which is really very interesting. I'm not sure why Longines did that, but I understand why that is the case. If you look at the lugs, they come out of the mid case and they don't slope down. They curve down, but they don't slope down like a lot of watches do, and so they in a sense they come straight out. And 47 millimeters lug to lug should wear well on my wrist. Should wear okay at the very least, but there's some issue with comfort, and it doesn't look the greatest when you look down at your watch and you see that. So do try it on if you have a smaller wrist. If you have a 6 1/2 inch wrist, I would say you have nothing really to be concerned about, but if you have a smaller wrist, it might be cause for concern. Now, a good way to mask it is to put it on a NATO. I usually have this on a single pass NATO, a bond NATO, and it wears really well at that point. It does, I don't know what it does, but it does make the watch wear much nicer. So this watch mainly spends its time on a NATO, and a decent padded strap does the job too. One concern I have with the hands, very minor concern, is that they do look very similar to each other, and the hour hand is really long. I would think the hour hand could be, if I were to nitpick, the hour hand could be a little shorter, and the minute hand could be a tad longer. They are sharpened to a point. If the minute hand was a hair longer and the hour hand was a hair shorter, I think this would be perfect. But again, really nitpicking at this point. It can be a little tricky to read the time. Say if at a quick glance the time looked like that. I mean, you could easily make it out, but at first glance you might take a second look, a third look to make sure which is which, like which hand is which. So that's a very, very minor gripe, don't get me wrong. I really like these hands, they're very well done. I would say that this watch is one of the best value watches I've had so far, considering the movement that's in it, the technology that's in it, the finishing. One thing I forgot to mention here, look at the finishing on the dial here. The hands are thermally blued. The sector dial, so the silver part is immaculately brushed. The crosshair is nicely done. Some people are not too fond of that cutoff 6 marker. I don't mind it. And look at that attention to detail. The hand stack is capped. You don't see a gaping hole there, or usually it's not a gaping hole, but I really appreciate it when manufacturers take the time to cap the hand stack. They didn't do it to the small seconds, but they did do it to the hour and minute hand stack, so really impressive. The printing is absolutely incredibly crisp. It's as close as I'm gonna get it. So yes, this watch wears big, but it is very pleasant to wear. It's a looker, very very enjoyable to use, and I highly recommend it. So go ahead and go to your AD, give it a try if you can. Of course, stay safe out there, and thank you guys for watching. Take care and have a good night wherever you may be.